Hey everybody, I'm Videobob, and this is my 2014 Cadillac CTS-V Wagon. And I gotta tell you, I think that this is one of the best cars Cadillac ever built. I like it so much, I bought two of them. Yeah, I know what you kids are saying. Here goes Videobob with another flex video. Really, that's not what this is about. I just truly love cars. I know I've got two CTS-V Wagons and a Rolls-Royce Phantom, and of course I have a Prevost tour bus. But for me, these are all tools of the trade. Now I'm going to tell you all about the CTS-V Wagons, why I have two of them, and why I think it's one of the greatest cars ever. All right, so here's the story. I bought this 2014 CTS-V Wagon in 2016 because at the time this was really my dream car. I've driven this car for a couple of years. I put about 65,000 miles on it. Well, actually, that's not true. It had about 19,000 miles on it when I bought it. Driven it around for a couple of years. And then this one came up, which is also a 2014 CTS-V. Exact same car, but it was a screaming good deal. It was under book value, came with a bunch of cool accessories, and it only had 19,000 miles, and the guy had just mothballed it. Came with a couple extra sets of wheels and all kinds of things, and I thought, you know what? They're not making these anymore. They only made like a couple of thousand of them, I think. I'd like to replace it with a newer one, and I want the exact same car. So I bought this one with the intention of selling this one. As you know from my previous videos, I bought that Rolls-Royce Phantom just recently. And I gotta be honest, I've been driving that thing and really enjoying cruising around in that thing. It's so cush, it's so comfortable. It's really the complete opposite of a CTS-V, which is really a race car. It might look like a station wagon, but trust me, this is not your dad's station wagon. All right, well, just real quick, we'll talk about the differences between these two cars. This car had graphite wheels, black Raven paint, and the standard seats. Now, this car actually had silver brakes on it when I got it, and this one had the red brakes on it. So we did a little swapping around. I put the red brakes off of this car onto this car. I took the silver brakes off of this car and had them painted red and put them on that car. I took the Recaros out of this car, put them into this car, took the standard seats out of this car, put it in that car, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I made the perfect version for me. So this car now has standard seats, still has the same brakes and rotors, which with only 19,000 miles on them, but I just bought brand new rotors and pads and everything, so I decided to put those on here. Still a very good car, still a very good deal. I just wanted all of my favorite stuff to kind of Frankenstein this car together. Something else that we did to this car that I think is really unique, and you'll see in one of my previous videos, we pulled all of the upper interior out, the headliner and all of the B-pillars and all of the plastics, and we painted them black. So I'll put a link to that video in the description if you want to go and see how that was done. But for some reason, all of the Cadillacs, almost all of them, except for I think some of the coupes and some of the more modern ones with Alcantara in the top, they all have this what they call titanium top, which I hated. It's basically like a beige, whitish color. And you have all this cool black leather and then this white top. And I never understood why they did that. Why do you do that, Cadillac? So we pulled it all out, we painted it black, so now this car is super murdered out inside. And really, when you paint that material, it kind of has the appearance of an Alcantara. It only cost me like 50 bucks worth of paint and a little bit of work. It was a lot of work, to be honest, but it came out fantastic. So we're still working on this car as far as putting all of my goodies in. We're installing some dash cams in there, also installing my Escort Passport 9500 CI into there. We just decided to put a new one, which we have in here, and we're going to get to that here in just a second. And I'm going to show you what that's all about. So since this car is still kind of a work in progress, we're not going to concentrate on this car. Let's basically use this one as the example, and I'm going to tell you all about the 2014 Cadillac CTS-V. All right, there's a couple of things that make the CTS-V what it is over a regular CTS. And that's the moneymaker under this hood. This is the supercharged LSA motor. Now, a lot of the newer Cadillacs are going for this twin turbo smaller motor. This sucker is supercharged. Now, underneath all this plastic is a huge, huge supercharger that puts 15 pounds of boost into this thing with the quickness. This motor is, I believe, 540 horsepower stock. I'm grabbing that out of the air, but I believe that that's the horsepower. It's not hard to squeeze 1,000 horsepower out of a motor like this with a little bit of modifications. This particular car does have a larger lower pulley, which spins the supercharger at a slightly higher speed, which gives you more boost faster, and I'm told that gives you probably 50 or 60 more horsepower over together, but you take off a little bit quicker. Now, between you and me, on trips to Mexico, I've had this car up to about 185 miles an hour. It says in the books that this thing will do 202, which is supercar category. Now, I've had people argue that with me about they don't like to see a Cadillac that was maybe $80,000 in the same category as a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a McLaren. But let me tell you something. This station wagon, loaded down with big fat Texas boys and all their luggage, can show a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, California or a Gallardo. I don't know if I'd use the word kicking its ass, but they'd be mighty surprised to find this car pacing with them, trust me. Seriously, this thing is a beast. Now, you can tell a couple of small differences between these two cars. I know we weren't going to talk about this, but I don't want to let it go ignored because people are going to type in the comments. So, on my new car here, we put a new grille on with the new style logo. I was kind of up in the air about it. Some people like the old style logo with the wreaths, and then other people like the new one. I just thought it gave it a little bit of a newer feel. We also have a different type of splitter that's been added onto the bottom here, which has an aluminum support for it. But otherwise, they're basically both the same car. Now, the difference here is that grille I bought, it was already black plastic. This one's been plasti dipped. Let me tell you, I have experimented with trying to paint this grille I don't know how many times, and it's hard to get anything to stick to that factory chrome. And I'm not a fan of plasti dip, but I gotta tell you, it works, and you can touch it up really easy and just a little, and it works. But I like the murdered out look, and I thought about taking it a step further, removing all the chrome, and some people take these headlights apart and they'll paint this all black inside, but I thought it was pretty cool. Speaking of the headlights, I wanna talk about something right here. See if I can't turn these on. Now, when you're driving down the road during the daylight, normally you'll have these daylight running lights, but these projector lights are, they're self-leveling and self-adjusting. So when you're going down the road, when you turn the wheels, the lights actually turn with the wheels just like a tucker. It's pretty amazing. And then you have these nice little LED accents that come up through here. There's also some LEDs on each side. But I was really impressed with the way the headlights work on this thing. Really cool idea. And I think that one of the reasons they did that is on all classic Cadillacs, you'll notice there's a big, on the side of the fender, you'll see a big white light there. And usually on a classic Cadillac, you know, most of the 70s, 80s, even my 63 Cadillac that I have, when you turn on your turn signal, it'll light up that area and throw light into the area where you're turning. And I think maybe that was their idea of kind of fixing that. But I wish Cadillac would go back to the good old-fashioned light in the fender that would light up that area. And here's something that's crazy. I kind of miss the old Cadillacs that had the little indicator up on the fender where you could see the blinker turn. Bring that back, Cadillac. It was cool. It was awesome. All right, coming around to the back of the car, one of my favorite things about this car, and I know that there's a lot of things to love, but one of my favorite things was the powered lift gates that they put on these things. I know that doesn't seem like a big deal now, but you know, I drove a Dodge Magnum, a 2005 Dodge Magnum for 10 years, and I love that car as a station wagon, and I used to see other high-end luxury vehicles that had these powered lift gates, and I just thought that was the coolest thing, and it was one of my favorite things about it. Let's see if I can get it to go back down. There we go. Ah, isn't that cool? I love that. Another outstanding feature of this particular car is the brakes. These are some high-class Brembo brakes branded with the V logo on them. You have a 15-inch floating rotor. Now, what a floating rotor is, for those of you who don't know, is there are these little points around where the hub is, where the rotor can move and it can expand. So this prevents it from warping. It allows a little bit of movement so that when you're braking at high speeds, when you're going 200 miles an hour and you see a cop and you got to slam on your brakes, it's not going to fry your brakes. Really good brakes. All right, let's crawl inside this beast, and I'm going to give you a quick tour of the inside of the Cadillac CTS-V wagon. All right, take my glasses off. So, one of the cool things I like about this car is all the Cadillac features. I mean, you have like a clock in the dash, which is nice and high class, dual comfort control zones, these memory seats, Isn't that nice? And even though it uses a key fob, you still have kind of something that's sort of like a key. I'm going to go ahead and start it. And that way I can get the air conditioning on because it's kind of stuffy. One of the things I think Cadillac was thinking when they were making these cars is they still wanted to appeal to some of their older audience. So you still have an actual knob for your radio, and you still have a thing that's kind of like a key. This is really the last of its breed, because the Cadillacs that came after this one, 2015 and up, you know, they had that Q system or the little touchscreen slidey job that I don't like, and it was really annoying to operate. This thing, it does have this little deal that raises up. I don't know what the point of that is, but it does it. And the steering wheel is actually connected to the wheels. Now, I know that sounds funny when I say that, but almost all of the new Cadillacs made now, they're drive-by-wire. You know, they have electronic steering, and they do that because they have, you know, lane assist and self-parking, and that stuff is great. But this car is straight up, balls to the wall, real race car. All right, so we're in the interior here, and I just thought I'd let you take a look at some of the infotainment system, see how all this works. Got your volume control, your tune and tone control. This sends the screen up and down. This here turns on your your sport suspension mode. Flashers. You have a favorite button, seeks, audio, repeat, destination, navigation, record, delete, configuration. Oh, the reason there's a record is you can put in an audio CD and record it to the hard drive, which this has a hard drive in it. There's also a USB jack under here, and you can put music in. As a matter of fact, let's take a look. I'll turn the sound on. I can't have any music on the video, but I can go into my hard drive and I can pull up an artist. And this is some of the stuff that I have on there. There's Ozzy, Pantera, Paul McCartney, Peter Murphy, Prince. I like a lot of different kinds of music. I got a little bit of just everything in here. Then you also have XM radio, which is really cool. Then you have your AM, FM. You have CD and hard drive. When we go into navigation, if you have the Sirius XM package that gives you traffic, as you can see, I don't know if you can see on the screen, but there's some little dots there. And that will show you the traffic situation in Dallas, which is usually garbage. Now, another really cool thing that you can do, and unfortunately I can't show you, I just went to go grab my phone. My phone's right there. There's the My Cadillac app. You can pull up something on the map and send it directly to here, or you can call OnStar by pressing this little blue button, and they can send you something to the map. So I can say, hey, I need directions to the hamburger stand, and they will send the directions directly to you. You can also use that app on your phone to unlock the car, start the car. It'll also let you check your tire pressure, your oil, all of these things, and it'll send you a monthly report on your car and tell you what service you need, what your tire pressures are, when it's time to change the oil, your mileage, what your current miles per gallon has been, all of those things. It's really intuitive and it's really cool. There's also a built-in tracking device in the car that comes with OnStar in case anybody, you know, steals the car. But you can track, like for instance, if you've given this to your kid and you want to see where they've gone, you can, you know, track them using that, and you can see where the car is. This dual climate control zone, I turned off the car because it was vibrating a little on the camera. But the climate control zone is really cool because maybe if I put it in gear, that might make it vibrate even more. But I wanted you to be able to see. You have a dual climate control zone with heated and cool seats, and the passenger can have their own controls if they choose. You have your front and rear defrost, and you can control how much air you want coming out of the top or the bottom or the center. You can have fresh air, recirculated air. And let me tell you, when this thing gets fired up, it will freeze you out. It gets cold. Well, it feels good. Okay, I mentioned earlier that I had a cool radar detector, and we've hidden it inside the ashtray. This is the Escort Passport 9500 CI. Now this is a radar detector with GPS support and front and rear laser shifters. Now what this does is there are little laser eyes under the front and under the back of the car. So basically if a cop points his laser at you, this thing will diffuse it and he won't get a reading. It also gives you amazing radar control. And the reason it has GPS is if you drive past like a school zone or something that keeps setting it off, if you drive something 3 times that sets it off, it will store it and ignore it. So, and you can also mark those locations as well. This is one of the most advanced radar systems available that I know of. It was almost $3,000 to purchase and install this thing. It's one heck of a system, and this is going with this car. I'm putting the same thing into my other car. You want to go for a ride in the CTS-V? Let's go. Now, I usually like to drive this thing with the sport mode on, also with sport transmission. There are little paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel that will allow you to control your shifts, and you can also do that here on the actual shifter. I know a lot of people are really interested in the manual version of this car because you could get this in a stick. You just can't shift this thing as fast as it can do it. I never drive this thing without the traction control because quite frankly that would just be stupid. This thing has so much power that you could pretty much burn the tires at any speed. So right now I'm cruising at about 70 miles an hour. It's in 6th gear. I'm running 2,000 RPMs. I mean, this thing is idling. And the thing about it, the thing that makes this car super special is you can be going 70 and then suddenly be going 100. Up, that's 100. And back down to 60. Oh, that's what makes this thing so cool. You just can't do that in most cars, especially not in a station wagon. Getting in this thing just gives me instant road rage because I feel like Superman. I have all this power at my fingertips and toe tips, and I just want to let it loose and go 180 miles an hour, and I can't! There's all these people in the way! Move! Ah! Trip this corner. Jesus Christ, don't do that. Jesus. This thing will literally kick you in the back. Ah, this guy up here flexing in his Charger. A Charger. Okay, so we'll talk about the ride quality of the CTS-V. Now, like I told you, I usually put it in sport mode. We'll flip it over to Tour, or what I call Grandma mode, instant change. This has a magnetic ride control that adjusts the shocks at 1,000,000 times a second, whatever the specs are. In Grandma mode, it's real squishy and marshmallowy. It's got that land yacht feel. Instant change, though, when you press the suspension mode sport button, completely flattens out. Now you're riding nice and hard. You can feel every little bump. You can feel everything in the wheel. Bye. That was the guy in the Charger. Don't ever do this, kids. Right about now would be a good time to turn on the laser shifters and radar. Now with radar and laser mode, if a cop were to theoretically point his laser beam at me or whatever, we'd get nothing of a reading. Ow. That hurt my neck. I'm gonna sue myself for whiplash. Jesus Christ, this car is fast. I love this car, and one of the reasons I think it's the greatest car in the world is because it'll seat 4 people, maybe 5 if you're skinny. It's a station wagon. I mean, I've picked up small, furniture. I picked up a washing machine and put it in the back. You'd be surprised what you can get in the back of this car. Oh, the traction control is so good. and I just went around that corner now. If this was a Mustang, I'd be eating that wall right now. But in this car, it just puts you right in the direction you want to go, and just gives you all the speed. It's all traction. I'm gonna open up the shade and let in more light on my head. Wish I had a drink. I need a frosty beverage. This thing is crazy fast! Oh my God, I could do this all day. Woo-hoo-hoo! Well, I hope you enjoyed virtually riding with me in the CTS-V, because if you were actually riding with me, your hands would be clawed into the dash and your hair would be standing on end probably. All right, thanks for going on a ride with me in my CTS-V wagon. I think it's one of the greatest cars ever. I don't know, some people like the wagon, some people like the sedan, some people like the coupe. I've always loved station wagons. I've owned a lot of station wagons. I've owned a bunch of Ford Taurus wagons, Dodge Magnum wagons, and of course, 2 of these. I'm a big fan of Doug DeMuro, Hoovie's Garage, and Tavares. If you're not already following them, you should do so. And if you don't mind, follow me. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'm Bob from Bob's Prop Shop. Yes, you've seen me on Pawn Stars. You saw me on the Hulu show The Act just recently. I was in Ghostbusters, the 2016 version. I had my own television show called Screen Machines on the Reels channel and Around the World on Discovery Channel. You've seen me on Auction Kings and all kinds of different TV shows. So yes, I'm an actor. You've probably seen me on television before, and that's maybe why you recognize me. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. And I'm Videobob, and I'll see you on the next car video. Move, 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 move. Go! Blah, 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 blah.